Well, this week, the Indiana Gaming Commission said in the 2 months since legalized sports gambling was launched in the state, Indiana's online and retail sports gambling handle nearly tripled in October. That compared to September. The commission says online and retail sports bets accounted for nearly $92 million in October. That's 161% higher than the $34.5 million wagered in September. PlayIndiana.com, a Las Vegas-based media company that reports on the nation's gaming industry, says the boost is due in part to an influx of Chicago area bettors and the launch of online sports betting. Well, esports is literally the new game in town, and it's growing not only at the professional level, but on college campuses as well. Bill Benner has more in this week's Inside Indiana Sports. Bill.
Thanks, Gary. 2 years ago, the NBA 2K League made an esports splash that included Pacers gaming, but at the same time, esports are exploding on the collegiate level, with Butler University being the latest, announcing that it is creating an esports gaming space for both Butler students and gamers around the city of Indianapolis. Joining me today to discuss is Eric Kmeier, the Director of Esports and Gaming Technology at Butler. Eric, welcome to the program. Again, I'm astounded. I'm an old guy, but I'm astounded by the growth that's taking place esports, and we talked about gaming, but just everywhere across the nation, around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It continues to pick up on college campuses as well as in the high school space.
So why is Butler now taking the leap into esports?
Absolutely. So we're looking at it very much more of a community engagement position. We're focusing on three different pillars, on the competition and providing for what we're already doing in the Big East and also non-conference play, but then also focusing on the curricular side of things. So we have faculty that are involved in everything that has to do with esports, from production and sports media and broadcasting components, as well as gamifying curriculum. And so we want to be able to provide for that. But very much more focused too on the community. So we've strategically located where we're putting the new space to be in a very externally positioned location between Hinkle Fieldhouse, our health and recreation complex, as well as our performing arts center.
You talk about the competition aspect. Again, you're competing in the Big East with other Big East
That's correct.
Universities, Rocket League, the League of Legends. I don't know what those are, yeah. But again, this is something that you want to go out, you want to play, and you want to win, right?
Absolutely. So this is we've done year to year over the last 2 years, and now the Big East has come in, and the presidents have agreed into more of a collective decision for a 3-year commitment into this space, so we can create framework around it. We'll have our first LAN Center tournament actually hosted in New York in early December.
Yeah, and back to community, this again, it's not just something for Butler and students and anybody connected with Butler to use. You want this intentionally to be something that people from around central Indiana can be involved in.
That's correct. Anything from new business startups and whatnot. So we've actually positioned office spaces that are available for other companies to come inside and work right alongside us. So very much like we've reflected with our new Lacey School. And so we're trying to activate that space and allow it to be multifaceted for those community partners in sports and technology.
Universities have begun to offer scholarships. You could go to Butler University potentially at some point, not yet, as you mentioned before we went on the air, but at some point there might be scholarships available.
That's correct. We're working with our admissions team to really define how we want to do that and create that forward pathway.
Again, this is, explain to me what the Rocket League is, for instance. Can you synthesize that for me?
Yeah, so that one's probably the most easiest one to conceptually visualize. It's actually just like soccer, but you're driving cars to put the soccer ball into the net. Okay. So it's very much in that world.
We said right before we went on, the NCAA at some point, or maybe even the locally based NCAA or the National Federation of High School Associations, might they become involved in esports at some point?
Yeah, NFHS is very involved already, and they're still rolling that out to different states. The NCAA continues to keep abreast of that situation of how to really define it with a governance structure.
If you could, where will this be 5 years from now, Eric?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think time will tell with that, very much so. But as far as the collegiate and the high school, we can really align ourselves with traditional sports in that. So providing next steps for those that are interested in the pipeline of activity and engagement and competition, but then also on the back end for an end-to-end delivery to work then in those tech companies and partners that are right there on our campus with them.
It is just a fascinating concept of where we are going with all this. As we wrap up, if you want to learn more about Butler's offerings, where might they find that?
Yeah, esports.butler.edu.
All right, Eric K. Meyer with Butler University, Director of Esports. It's a whole new world out there, folks.